You are listening to the Way of the Shaman podcast with your host, Kerri Husman. The content shared in the Way of the Shaman podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional or therapeutic advice. The views expressed by the host and interviewees reflect their personal experiences and opinions. Please consult with an appropriate licensed professional if you have any medical, psychological, or legal concerns.
Hello, and welcome to the Way of the Shaman podcast. I'm your host, Kerri Husman, and today JC Safa is joining us from San Diego. We'll be talking about the Power Soul Retrieval Training, which is an in-person workshop to learn soul retrieval. Welcome, JC.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'm so glad you could join us today. So, JC has quite a fascinating background, and I'm really excited to get to hear more about it and share it with our audience. So, can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how it wound up leading you to shamanism?
Well, I had my first mediumship experience when I was a child. I was probably somewhere between the age of 8 and 10, and I grew up Catholic, and we used to pray to Jesus every night. And my mother had placed a picture of Jesus on my wall in my bedroom. And one day, I'm not sure why, but I said, I want to talk to Jesus. And I started to just connect with him energetically. And suddenly I started to hear him in my room. And I thought, oh my goodness, I could hear his voice coming from around where the front door was. But I said, I can hear you, but I said, but I can't see you. And he says, well, you won't be able to see me because you'll get scared. So that was my first spiritual experience. And I was just a little kid, of course. But then I started to realize that I was a little different from other kids. I was a deeply spiritual child. When I was a little bit older, I was probably about maybe 10 years old or so. My father was taking yoga classes from this master yogi. And I asked him, I remember one time, and I was born in Mexico City, raised in Mexico City up until the age of 13. And I remember asking his yoga teacher, can you take me to the pyramids of Teotihuacan? And he did. And I was fascinated. And I'm a little kid.
Wow.
And so it was a little different, than from other kids. But later, when I was in high school, I would go and visit family. I was already living in the United States, and I would go and visit family in Mexico City. And I remember asking family members, can you take me to the local markets? Because I had heard that curanderos and curanderas were selling medicinal herbs. And I thought, whoa, how interesting. I really would like to know more about what they do. And so I'd go to the markets and I would just look at them. And I just felt like a really strong connection with Mexican Indian people. And I always like to take pictures with them. And I just really felt like a strong connection. And Anyway, later when I was in college, I met a guy that was highly spiritual who once uh, told me if I could go with him to a friend's house. And the minute I walked over to his friend's house, that's when my life changed because I had, again, grown up Catholic. I'd been to Catholic schools my whole life, and that's all I knew. So I walk into this guy's place, and he's got a statue of Buddha, and he's got this new age music playing in the background. And I thought, this is amazing. And I could smell scent. He was burning some scent, and it was beautiful. And he had a meditation area, and his whole place just felt so welcoming, so loving. The energy of this place was just beautiful. I had never felt that before, ever. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. And this friend of mine started to talk to me about shamanism. I had no idea what that was. And I was going to be moving to Los Angeles from Dallas, Texas, after graduating from college. And he said to me, well, there's a shaman in Los Angeles that I could refer you to. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing. So I moved to LA, started to do vision quests with this shaman in Los Angeles. He was in the Pasadena area or so, and Arcadia area as well. And he had mentioned to me that I should read Carlos Castaneda's books, which I did, and then later met Carlos at a bookstore. Um, uh, and then, of course, years later, I moved to San Diego and I met Don Juan on the Mexican side of the border. Some people from San Diego took me to his home, and I was blown away. But shamanism just felt amazing to me. I knew right away that this is exactly what I was looking for. For some reason, religion just didn't go deep enough to where what my soul needed.
Mm-hmm.
But when I found shamanism, I felt at home. I understand this. It just opened a whole new world for me. And I was really looking for healing for myself. And during my 3-year program with the foundation, I was fully healed from this deep emotional trauma that I had been dealing with for decades, for really most of my life. And so I received uh, uh, healing for that, but I also then later received the soul retrieval, and both things just completely changed my life.
Wow.
And I said, my goodness, I would love to help people heal. Shamanism is just amazing. It's so deep, and you're working with fully compassionate, helping spirits that come from a heavenly place, from a heavenly source. I thought this is just a mind blower, and so in the process of my studies, especially through the year program, it really started to enhance my psychic and mediumship abilities. The first time I actually had an experience was during a in-person Dying and Beyond workshop,
Mm-hmm.
which Alicia Gates was teaching at the time. And when we were getting ready to take one of the journeys to help a family or friend that we knew of that had passed away cross over to the other side, the person I was thinking about showed up in the classroom right in front of me. And I thought, oh my goodness, that was like the first time like the soul of a human being actually appeared in front of me. And I could see exactly how he was dressed, the shirt, the details about his shirt, pants, his shoes, everything. So, of course, I realized, and then later I started to teach for the foundation, and I'm so thankful. I've been now teaching for 10 years. But as I took more workshops and went through my 3-year program and the 2-week intensive, and I'm still doing a lot of healing work, I started to realize that this is something the foundation talks about, that although shamanism is not a direct path to enlightenment, it does make you more enlightened. And I
Mm-hmm.
started to feel that the more people I healed, the more workshops I taught, the more I was exposed to my helping spirits, the more I started to change as a person. Not only was I being healed by my helpers when we were doing healing on others,
Right.
but my light just started to get brighter and brighter. And I am just so thankful to have found this path, because it's brought so much joy, happiness, freedom to my life. And I'm just so thankful for Michael Hunter's work, because with his travels and his research and putting all these workshops together, he's changing people's lives, and he changed my life in a very deep way. And I'm very, very thankful to him for that.
Well, thank you. Wow, that was only 8 minutes, and we just got to take a whirlwind through your life, JC. That was incredible. I know you've had some really fascinating experiences with teachers and mentors, and you mentioned just a few pretty profound teachers that many people have heard the names of. Could you tell us a story about one of those mentor or teaching experiences that has really been foundational in keeping you ethically aligned, keeping you um, knowing that this path is right for you? Is there a story you could share? I'm sure you have many.
Sure. Well, I I was very thankful that I had the opportunity to assist Alicia Gates in San Diego. She lived in San Diego, and I've been in San Diego for a long time. So I asked her one day if I could become her assistant. She said yes. So I assisted her For 5 years, at every workshop she taught in person. We only taught in person at the time, in San Diego. So she would teach multiple workshops per year. And it was just really fascinating how disciplined she was, how she really took this work very, very seriously. And I really, it really, really helped me to to make sure that it was part of my daily discipline in shamanism. So she was a big part of it.
Good. Could you share a little bit about daily discipline? What do you feel can be really helpful for those who are new to shamanism or those who are extensively experienced as a daily practice?
Sure. Well, one of my daily practices is contacting my helping spirits. I work with them pretty much every day
Hmm.
for all sorts of different things. I do again a lot of healing work, but also do psychic and mediumship readings. Sometimes I incorporate all three in a healing session because it just works out that way sometimes.
Hmm.
And I like to take walks in nature. I live very close to a beautiful lake, surrounded by lots of trees. We have hiking trails in the area as well. And I also like to connect with animals. We have a lot of different types of birds in the area: hawks, crows, ravens, and lots of other type of birds. And I just really, really like to spend time in nature and connecting with them. Uh, uh, and we have a lot of coyotes as well in the area. But I would say definitely taking walks in nature is something that's important to me as part of my discipline. It's very healing for me, and so that would be my answer to that.
Good. Thank you for that. So, you know, could you tell us a little bit about what you feel the role of shamanism is in the modern world? I mean, you've had experiences going back decades
Yes.
with regard to mediumship, and then that has been um, essentially improved with your shamanic trainings, your connections with your helping spirits. And so, what do you feel shamanism offers today in the modern world?
That's a great question. I feel that it's absolutely necessary for people to reconnect because I see society nowadays being completely disconnected from who they really are. And shamanism is a beautiful way for us to reconnect to the source of love and light. And it has certainly changed my life in a very, very deep level. I used to be part of corporate America, and now it's like my soul's like, no, 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 no. We don't want to go there again. We don't like that anymore. So I love who I am today. I love what I do. I love teaching. I love healing people. I love supporting people who are in a state of suffering. It's just a very rewarding and amazing work. So, shamanism is incredibly important in helping people heal and find their path back to that beautiful source that we are all a part of.
Wonderful. Excellent summary. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's been like? I mean, sounds like it was a fantastic experience being an assistant for those years. I mean, talk
Yes,
about amazing transformation for you.
absolutely.
And then, you're teaching your own workshops now for many years. What do you find most rewarding about being in that instructor role and helping these people who are learning these processes, very simple techniques, but very powerful techniques? What do you find rewarding about being in that role as the teacher?
Well, this work is changing people's lives, and I love being part of it. Part of bringing that light, helping people to connect to these beautiful beings who love us so much. And we're playing a very important role in reconnecting people to that source and people are being healed as well. We're changing people's lives, and I just love doing that.
So, one of the things I know that you do in your healing, JC, is even if people have emotional distress or emotional problems, they may come to you for healing, but you don't offer psychotherapy or counseling. How do you navigate that when someone comes in with a complaint of an emotional problem?
Well, I work with my helping spirits in healing the person, and they will come, and it doesn't matter how big their emotional trauma has been. They will fully heal the person as long as the person is open to receiving healing, as long as they open their heart and bring those walls all the way down to be able to help them, they will be fully healed. I don't need to know any specifics about what their emotional trauma is because my helpers are the ones that do the healing work for that. So I have the client communicate with them not only the emotional trauma, but also how they feel emotionally about this situation. Do they feel anger? Do they feel betrayed, abandoned?
Hmm.
Do they feel hate towards the person that traumatized them? And all that can be healed in a healing session. So this is
Beautiful.
not psychology. Psychology is very, very effective. This is a different method that I use because I am not a psychiatrist. Uh, I work with fully compassionate helping spirits that do the emotional trauma healing work for the person.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, JC. I'd like to shift now into talking a little bit about soul retrieval. Can you tell us, for those who are unfamiliar, what soul retrieval is in the context of shamanic healing?
Absolutely. So when we experience emotional trauma, and everyone does at some point in their lives, small parts of our soul may leave our main soul, leaving the person feeling fragmented, dispirited, feeling perhaps even weak, not feeling like the strong person they used to be. Perhaps they've
Hmm.
lost their confidence. They just don't feel the same. They feel that they have been weakened by the emotional trauma that they endured. So, what soul retrieval is, it's a practice that we teach and do, in which we bring those small parts of the soul of the person that have left, and we bring them back into their main soul, and the
Hmm.
outcome is incredible. I've had 2 or 3 soul retrievals myself, so I can tell you my personal experience. You feel more whole, more present, more confident, much happier, more complete. The first time I had a soul retrieval, I had so much soul loss, and I didn't know I had so much soul loss that even just with that first soul part, as it was brought back in, I felt so much better immediately. The shift was immediate for me. I felt happier. I
Hmm.
felt more uplifted. I felt more confident. Everything just was better immediately. The second soul retrieval I had, I started to feel that way about 7 or 8 days after the soul retrieval was
Hmm.
done. I started to notice a shift. And about a month and a half to 2 months after the soul retrieval is when you feel so much better. I was just so happy to be alive. I would get up in the mornings and dance and sing my way into the kitchen to make my coffee. I was just like loving life. I thought, oh my gosh, what a difference. I feel so much better. And that's what soul retrieval does for a person. We all have, I've never worked with someone that did not need soul retrieval. And I feel that everyone needs soul retrieval at some point in their lives. This work is magical, transformative, life changing, all of the above. And I'm just so thankful to be part of this work.
Thank you for that, JC. And let's talk a little bit about what it's like for the client. Like you said, sometimes it is instant. I've had soul retrievals where the power that came with it was just enormous. And
Yes.
you feel this coming in, you're like, boy, how big was that?
Right.
The size doesn't matter. Obviously, this is not how it works, but it feels so huge. And then other times it feels just like, oh. not like you just drank Mountain Dew and you just feel energized, but there's something like an energy kind of feeling, even though it is power. Sometimes your body has a hard time registering what that is because, of course, your soul is residing in the energy body and energy field of this physical body. They're all living there. So, can you describe what typically happens during a session? So, the client, what are they doing during a soul retrieval usually? They're lying down or are they sitting up in a chair? How does that work?
They're usually sitting up on a chair because I do 99% of my healing work via Zoom meeting.
Oh, sure.
Yes, so I do the work via video conference, and so they're usually sitting up. That's better for me. And the interesting thing is that I've been doing this for such a long time that as the soul parts, as I start to bring the soul parts back in, they're telling me why they left. So I know each one of the soul parts. I know in advance why they even left in the first place. Was it from childhood? The teenage years or other issues the person had later in life. It's really incredible. And I can also sense and feel and see when a very important soul part is going to be brought back because I just know it. I have a sense that this was a big one. This is one that is really going to change this person's life. And there are some other soul parts that are also important, but they're smaller in terms of their importance. There
Right.
are some big ones that will make a huge difference. So we usually start with the big ones first because those are the ones that are really going to help the person right away. And then as we do more healing sessions, then we start bringing back in some other parts or portions, as the foundation now says, back to the person. And what I love is when I ask people to contact me in about 2 months to see how they're doing, and the change in
Hmm.
people is just unbelievable. How much happier they are, how much more whole and present they are, and how much more confident they are. Everything changes for the better. It's just really incredible.
Oh, beautiful. And so, when you're getting ready to do this work, how do you prepare yourself to do soul retrieval for another person?
Yes. Well, the first thing I do is I call my helping spirits in. Then I
Hmm.
like to sing my soul song. Uh, I then dance my teacher and power animal as well to empower myself before I do my healing session. And after that, I feel very empowered and ready to do the work and help the person um, heal.
Wonderful. And I can tell you that the beautiful thing about the soul song and dancing a teacher or dancing a power animal is something that you learn very early on in the fundamental foundational workshops and something that you can do every day
Absolutely.
to maintain your power going into, let's say you've got a big day, a day filled with clients, big meetings, interviews for a job, whatever it might be. These fundamental foundational techniques to really maintain and restore your own power and that connection with these compassionate, healing spirits that can bring so much loving power to you to do good in the world, help the planet, and help its inhabitants. So excellent. Thank you, JC.
Thank you.
Well, and so you've given us some ideas about some of the outcomes that can happen with soul retrieval. Sometimes it's life changing right in that moment. Sometimes it does unfold over the course of several weeks. How do you navigate that when someone's expecting something immediate, but it might take weeks to unravel? And we have no power over that
Right.
as the practitioner. How do you prepare a client for understanding that this is going to be something that's going to happen over time?
I just let them know up front that for some people, and also my personal experience with soul retrieval, some people feel an immediate shift during the first soul retrieval. For some people, they may start sensing, feeling the difference about a week later after the soul retrieval. But it really takes at least a month and a half, maybe 2 months, or sometimes even longer than that, for soul retrieval to do its full effect on the person. So I do let them know up front that it could take some time, but there are other things that I do in the healing session, like
Hmm.
uplifting emotionally the person, doing, and also sending divine love and light to them, and that really helps them to feel better, stronger, happier right away. And then, of course, we do the soul retrieval as well, so they do feel better the same day of the healing work. And again, as the weeks go by, they just start feeling better and better and better, and then you start getting referrals. At that point.
Good. And so when people are deciding to take this course, so this course comes after psychopop, it comes after learning extraction. So this comes next as a foundational technique. And why do you think that is? That someone needs to learn how to assist the dying or deceased. They need to learn how to deal with spiritual intrusion with the extraction and then soul retrieval. Why do you think that it's that order?
Well, because it takes more experience to do soul retrieval work. It's important for people to practice journeying, to take several workshops in order to, again, have that experience that's required to do soul retrieval work, because the work is a little more intensive. You never know where those soul parts or soul portions are going to be. They could be
Right.
in the lower world, in the middle world, in the upper world. We don't really know up front where we're going to find them, but it just takes more time, more experience to be able to do that work. That's the reason why we do it that way.
I understand. And also they need to be able to hold more power. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's that process.
Absolutely.
And and do you feel that, and again, this is a biased question because all of us faculty members have taken these workshops multiple
That's
times.
right.
But what do you feel comes from taking soul retrieval again?
You mean a second time?
Mhm.
I believe that everyone should take all the workshops at least twice. The second time around, you learn a lot more than you did the first time. Once you take the workshops the first time and you start to practice the work and you read your notes, etc., when you come back and take it a second time, you start to realize that you had missed some things the first time you took
Mhm.
the workshop, that you're like, "Oh, I don't remember hearing this. I don't remember that being in my notes." Sometimes I think it's good to take the workshop the second time with a different teacher, because uh, different teachers have different experiences, and some have
Mhm.
trained with some of the faculty members, others with other faculty members. So it's very helpful to take the workshops at least twice.
I would agree with that. Each time you go deeper and
Absolutely.
and learning from other faculty members where they have their stories, their experiences, those stories with their own personal stories, the stories they may have had from taking the course with Michael themselves. Those are really invaluable stories to understand and anchor in your own experiences. So I would agree with you on that. Now, what about um, when you're trying to support students who are integrating soul retrieval into their own practices? They're just learning, and so, obviously, just like right after the way of the shaman, the basic, people will start doing power animal retrieval for their friends and family because they want to practice. So, how do you support students who have just learned soul retrieval and they're thinking about offering this to friends or family to practice? How do you support them that way?
Well, I let them know that if they need any help, they can always email me.
Hmm.
In
Great.
case they run into a situation where they forget something, or maybe they miss something, in their notes. I tell all my students, if you ever run into a situation where you can't remember the process of doing the work, just send me an email. I'll respond to it. I want to be there for you. The work is very important.
Mhm. And we want to make sure that you're following the right steps
Exactly.
and connecting with your helping spirits,
Absolutely.
because without your helping spirits, you can't do the work.
That's right.
And what advice would you give someone who's interested in exploring shamanic healing for the first time? They've never had a healing session before. They're drawn to this work and they're wanting to be prepared for that. So, how would you advise someone that way? Because I'm sure you have people who are first timers that come to you for treatment.
Yes. Well, I tell people that it's always a good idea to read Michael Hunter's book, The Way of the Shaman,
Mhm.
and Kevin Cosmos as well, uh, and to start focusing on what they want to get out of the first workshop, what it is that they're, what's pulling them towards taking these workshops. So, hope that helps.
It does. It does. And do you feel it's valuable? And I don't know your personal history with when before you took your first workshop. Had you experienced a shamanic healing session before you ever took a workshop?
I don't think so. I did do some vision quests with another shaman years ago when I was living in Los Angeles, but I don't believe that I had actually received healing at that time. That's what I was hoping for.
Mhm.
But my true healing came during my 3-year program when I was the fortunate person to receive healing that day. That's the day that my life changed. That's the day that I was waiting for to happen, right? That's when I was fully healed from my emotional trauma. And it was so liberating. It was just an incredible experience for me. So that's I started to, of course, receive healing during the workshops, but talking about my emotional trauma
Mhm.
that was finally healed during my 3-year program.
Right. So that's the priceless
Yes,
one there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, JC, for joining us today and sharing a little bit about your story as well as the beauty of soul retrieval. If you'd like to learn more about this workshop or any of the Foundation's workshops, please check us out at shamanism.org.
Thank you, and many blessings to everyone for listening to us today.
Thank you, JC.
Thank you.